And look at that. At Safeco Field next door. A happy 35th anniversary to us and to the Mariner organization and the folks responsible. We thank you. That's a great sight.
That's pretty cool, isn't it?
Very.
Yeah.
And right next door we come now to Quest Field. You'd never know this team is coming off its worst performance of the year. They lost to Buffalo last week 38-9. The crowd is stoked. The Seahawks kick off. Josh Brown puts it in the air. And Terrence Copper will take it back from the 10-yard line. And he's made a mark on special teams. Ball came out for the moment, but he recovers it himself at the 22-yard line. And let's take a look at the Dallas offense.
Vinny Testaverde, University of Miami. Julius Jones, Notre Dame.
Darian Barnes, Hampton University.
Keyshawn Johnson, University of Southern California.
Quincy Morris, Kansas State.
Jason Witten, Tennessee. Flozell Adams, Michigan State.
Larry Allen, Sonoma State.
Al Johnson, Wisconsin.
Andre Gerard, University of Colorado.
Torrey Tucker, Southern Miss.
So the Cowboys and Vinny Testaverde, who did not start on Thanksgiving Day, hurt his back in the game against Baltimore. Drew Henson got the start, played a half, and then Vinny came on in the second half to guide them to the win. And right off the bat, they go to Julius Jones, who breaks the first tackle, and then picks up 2 to the 24-yard line. Here is the Seattle starting defense.
Chico Kiefer, Purdue. Cedric Woodard, Texas Longhorns. Marcus Tubbs, Texas. Grant Whitstrom, University of Nebraska. Isaiah Kazavinsky, the Harvard University.
Orlando Huff, Fresno State. Solomon Bates, Arizona State. Marcus Trufant, Washington State. Terrell Biara, University of Georgia. Ken Hamlin, Fraser High School.
Ken Lucas, Ole Miss.
That defense missing its top 4 linebackers. Second down and 8. And Julius Jones running right through the middle, and those linebackers will be important for Seattle tonight with all of the injuries topped off by Chad Brown as they try to work defensively, of course, against this guy. And no question, John, he's going to see a heavy dose with those 63 carries in his first 2 games.
Yeah, and I think it may not come until the 3rd or 4th quarter when he has success, because one thing I know Ray Rhodes is going to do, the defensive coordinator of the Seattle Seahawks, on running down, he's going to put 8 guys up there and make it very, very difficult for Julius Jones to run.
Had 8 up on that second play. And a run blitz on first down. Now 3rd and 5. And on this passing down, they swing the ball out, juggled, and then dropped. So Jones had it and then dropped it. Solomon Bates, the linebacker, with the coverage, and Dallas is 3 and out.
The other thing you know about this Seattle defense are going to be heavy blitz. So Vinny Testaverde on his first pass is trying to get there, get back, get it out of there quickly to Julius Jones, and he just couldn't find the handle on that one.
Matt McBriar in his first year grew up in Australia, actually was in the Seahawks training camp for a while last summer. Floats one down to the 31-yard line. This is Maurice Morris. And Morris is able to break free, dances down the sidelines. Good return into Dallas territory. Tackled at the 44-yard line after a 25-yard run back. And here is the Seattle offense.
Matt Haskell, very Boston. Sean Alexander, the University of Alabama.
Max Strong, Georgia.
Jerry Rice, Mississippi Valley State.
D-Jack, Florida Gate.
Itula Mili, Laie Elementary. Walter Jones, Florida State. Steve Hutchinson, Michigan.
Rob Toback, Wazoo. Chris Gray, Auburn University.
Chris Terry, Georgia.
I knew sooner or later we'd get down to grade school. I knew it had to happen. Laie Elementary.
What's the next step?
Next step is preschool. This is the guy who calls himself D-Jack. It's Darrell Jackson, who gains 9 yards to the 37. Let's take a look at the Cowboy defense.
Greg Ellis, UNC. Leo Carson, Auburn. Roy Glover, San Diego State.
Dad Dude, Columbia. Al Singleton, Temple University.
Dad Wynn, Texas A&M.
Jackson Copeland, Appalachian State.
Terrence Newman, Kansas State.
Lynn Scott, Northwestern Oklahoma State.
Roy Williams, University of Oklahoma.
Lance Frazier, West Virginia University.
Lance Frazier figures to have his hands full tonight at corner. And on 2nd and 1, they give the ball to the fullback, Max Strong. Good blocker. Carries once in a while. Mike Holmgren's team has a first down. Mike now in his 6th season as the head coach at Seattle. Boy, that time really flies when you think of it in those terms. It's not that long ago that Mike's patrolling the sidelines. And, of course, Bill Parcells after retiring, came back in his second year now with Dallas, 10-6 last year. And this year trying to hang on, and they're still hanging on because somebody that winds up 8-8 figures to make the playoffs in the NFC. Hasselbeck throws, and that's caught just short of the first down, pulled in by Bobby Ingram.
You know, it's interesting. The Seattle Seahawks on their last 2 first downs have come out in 3 wide receivers. And on second down, they would go to a normal tight end and run the ball. In fact, they're doing the same thing on this series. And this is a Mike Holmgren type of thing. You know, here's a receiver, here's a receiver, here's a receiver, and you have this thing. You kind of spread them out, get that defense spread out, and then throw the ball. It's also not a bad running formation.
3 wide receivers in this set on 2nd and 2 to the ground. And this is Alexander leading the league in rushing coming into this weekend. Alexander tackled by Carson. For Sean Alexander, he's a guy who's done very well over the past 4 years, but because Seattle's only been to the playoffs once, because a lot of the league considers this a geographical outpost, you don't know that much about him, but there are his numbers right now. He's 4th currently, but remember, most of the other guys have played 1 more game than him, that game being yesterday.
Right, and Mike Holmgren was saying that, you know, a lot of his players aren't having their best year, but one that is having a better year than even Mike Holmgren expected is Sean Alexander.
3rd down and 1, and they're going to throw it, and Hasselbeck has some time, has to roll out now, and then throws into the end zone with a flag. For the moment, it's a touchdown, but Dallas is going to contend that Jerry Rice pushed off. So for the moment, you've got Rice in for what he thinks is 6, but let's see about the call. There was clearly contact. Nathan Jones is the defensive back. He is a rookie out of Rutgers against a 20-year all-timer.
Defense. The play decline. Touchdown.
Against the rookie.
Only Jerry Rice on Monday night. He was open early on this one. You see him right here. He's the inside receiver. Very good coming off the line of scrimmage. But you see he was wide open all the way. Hasselbeck had to scramble out to his right, and that gave Jerry Rice a little time to see that he was scrambling and then work back to the inside. You know, Jerry Rice, I mean, he slowed down a little, but he's still great getting away from the press.
Josh Brown, point after, 207 touchdowns now in his career, 196 through the air. It's Monday night. It's Jerry Rice. What else is new? 7-0. Monday Night Football brought to you by Bud Light. Fresh, smooth, real. It's all here. Nissan, everything we touch we shift, and everything we shift we try to make better. And the new T-Mobile Sidekick 2 with IM, email, web browsing, and more. Everybody needs a sidekick. T-Mobile. Space Needle, symbol of Seattle. Soaring into the night sky, 45 degrees and dry after a very rainy weekend. Could have some moisture before this one is done. 7-0 Hawks on top. Rashard Lee will run it back. And they get taken down at the 24-yard line by Curtis Randall. We refer to him as Mr. Monday Night in the opening tease tonight. Take a look at some of the things he has done on this series through the years. 45 games. That's almost 3 full seasons worth of games. Almost 4,000 yards. 36 touchdowns on Monday night alone.
You know, when you put him in his place, you say, what is it? It's the best wide receiver that's ever played the game. And I don't know who second would be.
Way behind, whoever it is. Jerry started the season, as most of you know, with Oakland. And then the trade with Seattle in mid-year to become, in effect, the number 3 guy. But now he starts. And this is Jones. And Jones showing what he can do inside the 40 and finally chased down behind as Larry Allen threw the block, and finally Ken Hamlin is able to run him down. So Rice does his thing, and here comes the rookie to do his. 53 yards.
Flozell Adams, the left tackle, makes a nice block. He's going to block down, and then watch Larry Allen pull out here. Big 73 right there. But when he gets that block, he just knocks Kazavinsky to the outside. Julius Jones just waits, runs right off of Larry Allen's block, and then takes it up the field. When you have a left side like that, that's where you want to run the ball.
Now at the Seattle 23, Testaverde, the play fake to buy time. Good protection, going for the end zone. And Keyshawn Johnson can't come down with it. Good coverage by Marcus Trufant, their #1 draft choice out of Washington State. Had position, the ball hung a little bit, and it's 2nd down and 10.
Hey, Keyshawn is going to run a corner here. You see him, you start up and then back to the corner. Trufant is playing off him. He's playing in a zone, so he comes into Trufant's zone. He just goes back and back, and he out-jumps him. In fact, if that ball maybe was thrown a little deeper, Keyshawn may have had a better chance at it. If that ball was thrown to the back pylon, it could have been a touchdown.
2nd down and 10. Jones, 121, gets taken down by another Ken Lucas. Jones, and Michelle talked about it, with a broken scapula. Then he comes back. He has 30 carries against the Ravens, and then 4 days later, 33 against the Bears. Only Emmitt Smith would be in that category. He did it on corresponding weeks during the 91 season. Mike Anderson, LaDainian Tomlinson, the others who share in that mark. But this is a guy who earlier in that week against the Ravens was listed as out. Then he became doubtful. Then he carries 30 times.
Right, and then Bill Parcells says, you know, I can't do that every week. I can't have this guy carry the ball 30 times. And he said, but he'll probably do it tonight, though.
3rd down and 8. Vinny over the middle, and that's dropped over the middle of the 18-yard line as he tries to throw it into Julius Jones. So Jones's run puts them in position to get into the end zone, or at least to the red zone, and now they're forced to try an intermediate depth field goal.
You know, and that's where they missed Richie Anderson. You know, Julius Jones wouldn't have been in there on that 3rd down passing down. That ball would have been thrown to Richie Anderson, and so far Julius Jones has 2 drops.
Parcells barking at Jones as he came off. Billy Cundiff now. This will be a 39-yard attempt. Drew Henson will set it down. And Cundiff's kick is just good. Just inside the left upright. So Dallas is able to answer with 3. 8:49 remaining in the period. And the Seahawks are on top 7-3 on Monday Night Football. Aerial coverage tonight being provided by Budweiser. West Field, Seattle, Washington. More than 65,000 looking on. Early out here, early dinner. Cowboys to kick off. Cundiff sends it down to Maurice Morris. And they push Morris to the side. And he goes out of bounds at about the 21-yard line. Matt Hasselbeck coming in. His brother Tim, #3 quarterback for Joe Gibbs at Washington. He had a good year last year. Went to the Pro Bowl, in fact. Father played tight end for the Patriots years ago. Knows Bill Parcells from way back. Was one of the ball boys when Bill was in New England. Went to Boston College. Remember, Hasselbeck started at Green Bay. When Holmgren was there, he was the backup to Favre, and then came to Seattle to get reunited with Mike. And right now the question is, how healthy is he? How effective can he be? So far so good tonight. First down from the 21-yard line, and that's incomplete. And John, he suffered a severe, what they call Charlie horse, thigh bruise, ribs as well, and that cost him a start against Miami recently.
Right, and it was on his right knee and his right ribs and his whole right side. But he said that he feels pretty good tonight. Watch Greg Ellis here. He's going to make a good move on this. Looks like he's going to go to the outside. You start up to the outside, club him right to the inside, and then go right around him. I mean, he put a move on Chris Terry. I mean, he clubbed him with that left arm and just knocked him about 3 yards.
Ellis having a Pro Bowl type season as Alexander doesn't find much room off the left side, setting up 3rd down and long.
You know, getting back to Hasselbeck, I think that, you know, that he lost a little confidence, too. I mean, he had a great year last year. Like you said, he was in the Pro Bowl. And then that whole Ram thing, you know, when they lost to the Rams came back and, you know, beat them there at the end of the game. I think the whole team lost a little confidence. Then his receivers started dropping balls on them. You know, you try and say the right things and do the right things, but it's tough.
3rd and 9, and that pass, Jerry Rice reaching out, makes the catch. Jerry Rice at the age of 42, still covered well down the sideline, pass a little bit in front of him, is able to fingertip it and beats Lance Frazier and Roy Williams on the play.
Here's Jerry Rice out here. You're going to see that hole right there in the cover 2 between the short corner and the safety. and he hit him perfectly in that hole. I was watching practice the other day, and they were throwing this pass a lot. That once you get by the corner, before you get to the safety, you have about a 5-yard gap.
Now you've got Alexander pushed back right off the bat by Leonardo Carson. So there is Jerry Rice, already full of chalk and sweat, but he has a touchdown. He has 2 catches and 44 yards receiving tonight.
There's a lot of things great about Jerry Rice, and you can say all the accolades, but the thing that always impressed me about him is his work ethic. You say that, he made this great catch, he's caught this many balls and won this many games, but you know what? He probably works harder than any wide receiver has ever worked in history.
Second down and 11 as they enter the backfield here. Movement up front. This will be a free play for Seattle. Nice move by Hasselbeck to duck away from a sack. And then the free play turns out to be an interception that won't mean a thing, and Roy Williams knows it. Greg Ellis put the pressure that time on the quarterback, but it was a free play.
Defense, number 98, 5-yard penalty, second down.
Greg Ellis should have been the guy to put the pressure on because he was the guy that jumped off sides. And Matt Hasselbeck was smart here. If you have a free play like this, then go deep. I mean, just don't throw some dump-off thing. And you see Greg Ellis got caught in the neutral zone. Hasselbeck knew, as you said, he had a free one. And if I have a free one, let's go for a big one. Roy Williams intercepts it. And like you say, he knew that one wasn't going to count.
Right off the bat. 61 passing yards for Seattle, 60 rushing yards, and nothing in the air thus far for Dallas on 2nd and 6. Hasselbeck under pressure again, and Leroy Glover comes in his 9th year out of San Diego State, playing very well. Iron Man along that defensive front, gets in there for the sack.
Yeah, we saw Greg Ellis do it to Chris Terry, and here you're going to see Leroy Glover do it to Chris Gray. He's right here. You see, here he is right here. Here's Chris Gray. And what they're doing is they're just getting off on the ball and clubbing him. You see, start with one move right into him, and then just take one arm and just throw him off with that arm.
92nd straight start for the Iron Man Glover, most for any defensive lineman in the league. On 3rd down and 12 now. Hasselbeck hangs in, throws, caught, first down into Dallas territory. Itula Mealy, the tight end. He of La EA Elementary School and subsequently BYU fame. 18 yards, first down.
And that's the type of thing. That's what you always look for in the zone. You're going to see Mealy just come here, get by the linebackers, and in front of the secondary. And it was a zone defense, and that's an area that a quarterback will usually look to when he reads zone defense.
Mealy still the starter. They drafted Jeremy Stevens a year ago, number 1, but Mealy has fended it off and fended him off with ease to this point. Short pickup through the middle. Sean Alexander unable to get on track thus far as their basic running back. Their big back has now carried the ball a total of 4 times for only 3 yards.
Well, that's one of the things that the Cowboys are taking away. And remember, Bill Parcells said last night, he said, I expect them to kind of spread us out and then try and run it. That's what they did on that last play. They had 4 wide receivers, tried to spread the Cowboy defense out and run in the middle. The Cowboy defense just didn't spread out.
2nd down and 8. Here's a draw to Alexander. And this time he's able to do a little bit of running as Greg Ellis makes the tackle, but they still come up a little bit short of the first down.
Yeah, we talk about a running back have to be patient all the time. Watch Sean Alexander here. This is going to be a run blitz. You're going to see the blitz here. Now, he has to let stuff develop because he has a little trap there. So he waited for that trap to go, made a little move to the right, then a little move to the left, and just the patience picked up about 5 yards. That's tough. When you run a play right into a run blitz and make 5 yards, that's pretty good running.
3rd down and 2 against the 4-man front here. And a 4-man rush. And a first down as that's caught by Darrell Jackson. And Jackson is inside the 10 and flushed out of bounds at about the 5-yard line. So Darrell Jackson turns a short gain into a long gain and a 1st and goal.
Yeah, he started over on the left side, and he comes across the formation. You're going to see him here. He starts on the left side, comes all the way across, runs a shallow cross, catches the ball there, makes a real good move there, gets to the outside, and turns on the afterburner. Yeah, that's a big play in this West Coast offense, is that shallow cross. We see Jackson do it there. Over the years, no one ran that pattern better than Jerry Rice.
35 yards, play fake, throws, caught. Jackson, touchdown. The Seahawks converting third downs along the way. They've converted 4 in the game to this point, and on top, 13-3.
Well, it looked like Gerald Jackson right here. He just turns Terrence Newman around. Newman sees him to the inside, then he thinks he's going outside, and Newman falls down. And boy, does Hasselbeck drill that thing in there. The minute that he sees that move on Terrence Newman, he gives Jackson the ball.
Josh Brown for the extra point. Hasselbeck has started the game 7 of 8 for 116 yards. Hot start for the Seahawks. 14-3 Seattle. We'll be in Nashville a week from tonight. Kansas City coming off its win yesterday over Oakland, taking on Tennessee. Question about Steve McNair. Don't know if he'll play or not. But Steve McNair and the Tennessee Titans at home against Kansas City next week. Josh Brown to kick off for the Seahawks. It's taken by Rashard Lee from the 5 up to the 31-yard line. 26-yard return, and that's where the Dallas Cowboys will take over late in the first quarter as they trail Seattle by 11 on Monday night. Now Dallas from the 31-yard line, trailing 14-3 with Testaverde at the helm. Throwing, caught. Tight end Jason Witten's been a big part of their offense and one of Vinny's favorite receivers. Testaverde, remember, came to Dallas from the Jets, and he was going to be the backup to Quincy Carter. But then Carter, in failing a drug test, Bill Parcells couldn't trust him, released Carter. That was the big story in training camp. And all of a sudden, here came Vinny, at that point 40 years old, in as the starter. Clearly not the long-term answer. They hope that Drew Henson will be the long-term answer, as Jones threw the middle close to a first down. So Henson finally gets the start because Testaverde got banged up, and there is Drew, the former Yankee farmhand, who was out of football for 3.5 years. So Henson gets the start on Thanksgiving Day. Doesn't perform very well against Chicago, and Parcells has to win the game. He said the best chance to win the game. He puts Vinny back in, but sooner or later, John, they're going to have to find out about Henson.
Yeah, and, you know, I think that begs the question, when do you have to find out, and what are you going to find out? I'm not sure that he is the quarterback of the future.
I don't think anybody with the Dallas organization is quite sure yet. And this is Jones fighting for a first down and then gang tackled. And the question is, did he get it? Nico Coudevet is the middle linebacker, is the first guy there. It was 3rd down and 1. And they didn't get it.
Well, you know one thing about Ray Rhodes, he's going to overload that right defensive side because he expects when they're going to run, this is where they're going to come because of Larry Allen and Flozell Adams. So he's going to have something special. He's going to have everyone running and getting to that hole because he knows that when they need a yard or two, they're going to run to their left.
They ran to the left, and that's the 5th straight time Dallas has failed on a 3rd and 1. Remember, earlier in the season, it was Eddie George who was successful a lot on 3rd and 1, but that's a problem for them now as Matt McBriar's second punt of the night is a short one. Caught at the 27 by Maurice Morris, who falls forward to the 29. So the Seattle D does its job. The O comes back out, and they're up 14-3 in the Pacific Northwest. Steve Largent's number 80 has been retired. The great Seahawk receiver went to the Hall of Fame, became a congressman subsequent to retirement, honored here in their Ring of Honor. And Jerry Rice called him and asked if he could borrow number 80. And Largent said, I'd be honored. And that's why Jerry Rice gets his old 80 back, at least for the balance of his Seahawk career. Alexander stopped in his tracks here.
You know, we talk about Larry Allen being a great offensive lineman, and the Seattle Seahawks have one on their own. Walter Jones, a left tackle. Watch him. I mean, he's that guy that holds out all the time and never comes to training camp, and then just comes and just takes his guy and stays with him and drives him and drives him and drives him about 7 yards down the field. This guy is something very special, maybe the best tackle in football.
He and Jonathan Ogden will be in that very elite group. Second down and 11. Ogden playing with the Ravens as Hasselbeck starts up to the line of scrimmage and flips it outside. Caught by Alexander, and Sean is tackled up at the 36-yard line. Let's go to Michelle.
Al, talking about Jerry Rice, I spoke with Seahawks wide receivers coach Nolan Cromwell, and he said ever since Rice got here, he can see all the other younger receivers watching everything he does, and he said the biggest thing Rice demonstrates is patience. Patience running his routes, patience off his releases, patience catching the ball, and even the way he works guys when he runs his routes. So Cromwell hopes that his young receivers know if they're patient and they work their routes, they can excel.
Jerry Rice, the ultimate role model. Seattle now third down and 3, and they're 4 for 4 on third down conversions. And now they'll be 4 out of 5, thanks to Leroy Glover with a big sack, and that'll force a punt. And play resumes in the second quarter. We played 1 in Seattle with the score. Seattle 14, Dallas 3. And Monday Night Football resumes after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Hawks with Mike Holmgren 6 and 5. Hasselbeck shaken up on that sack by Glover. That's Glover's first 2-sack game since he was a Saint 3 years ago. Ken Walter to kick for Seattle as the second quarter begins. Lance Frazier to run it back up to the 41-yard line. Is deflected and it is incomplete. It was tipped and then almost intercepted. Rashad Moore with the tip and then almost picked off by Isaiah Kazavensky, the linebacker, and he couldn't hold it either.
I think the umpire was in the middle of that too. He's the guy that lines up right behind the linebackers. He's right in this thing. So you have a tip right there. Then the umpire's trying to get out of the way. Kazavensky dives for it, almost comes up with it, and they think it's a live ball, and of course it's not.
Second down and 10 now. Early second period. Seahawks up by 11 points. Play fake 5 times. Screen set up. Witten, the tight end. And Witten out of Tennessee takes it to the 39. He's a couple of yards shy of the first down. Tackled there by Rashad Moore. It'll be third down and 2.
You know, they are really playing Julius Jones, and I think that's one of the advantages that Bill Parcells wants to take here is if they're going to play him, use him as a decoy. They brought him off to the right side, and then they got across behind the linebackers that were pursuing to this side.
Third and 2 at the 39-yard line. Crowd exhorts its defense.
This better be a passing down for the Cowboys, and then he's going to take a timeout.
Timeout, Dallas. Third and 2 when we come back. After the timeout, it's third down and 2 for the Dallas Cowboys. Just inside the Seattle 40-yard line. Trying to convert here, and they do as they give the ball to Julius Jones, the rookie out of Notre Dame, second-round draft choice this spring. They did not have a number 1. They traded their number 1. They traded down, so they wind up with Buffalo's number 1 next year.
Julius Jones did a couple things you have to do in short yardage. Get there quickly and get there low, and watch what Larry Allen does here. He's going to get a push, and when you get that kind of push in the middle, that's the place that you cut back to.
First down, Dallas at the 36. Vinny on a roll, keeps on rolling, and then throws just before he steps out of bounds to Keyshawn Johnson, who was out of bounds. Second down and 10.
That's one of the things the Cowboys want to do with Vinny. You know that he can't run, and you know that he's not going to scramble and move a lot. Therefore, you make some of those organized bootlegs, some of those rolls, some of those sprints, just so the defense can't point rush on him. Just, in other words, just everyone rushes to a single point knowing that he'll be there.
Cowboys in the first quarter this season have been fine at +6, but the rest of the way, diminishing returns as the game goes along.
They have a tough time playing uphill.
And they'll have to do that tonight. That catch is made by the former Brown, Quincy Morgan, came over in a midseason deal. Ken Lucas with the coverage.
You know, the problem before they got Julius Jones is they didn't have a running game, and all their playmakers were receivers, either wide receivers or Jason Witten, their tight end. So in order to get the ball to them, they had to throw it. So in order for that to happen, Vinny Testaverde, everything went on his shoulders. And now with a Julius Jones and now having a runner, they can take a little of that pressure off of Vinny.
They dealt a pretty good blow earlier this season when Terry Glenn, who would have been their key receiver, or one of them, got hurt and is gone for the year. 3rd and 4, and that is incomplete. And of course, Keyshawn Johnson, you've seen him make that move. Or Copper that time. Copper making a Keyshawn Johnson move. His Marcus Trufant covers on the play. So 18 instead of 19, and that looked just like Keyshawn. The way he got up, the way he said, "Where's that flag?"
Well, and he just ran that slant pattern, but you see, they come inside of Larry Allen. He gets a little pressure on him there, but Vinny Testaverde had time to throw that ball. That's a pretty good move by Copper, getting inside of what he thought was, he thought he was held by his right arm when he went up to catch that ball.
49-yard attempt now for Billy Cundiff, who was just good from 39 earlier. This one is hooking, hits the upright, and goes over. A mini doink.
Every once in a while you need one of those.
Not the full doink, just the mini, the ping. 14-6.
It's a point.
Billy Cundiff just bangs a field goal off the upright to make it a one-possession game. Seattle up by 8 points early second period. Mid-40-degree night, about 45 at game time here in Seattle. Dry. Seahawks to get the ball. Cundiff to boot it. Maurice Morris is back there to accept it at the 5-yard line. To the 21, Sean Alexander of the Seahawks is mic'd up tonight.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Mr. Monday Night, what's up? Go, baby, let's go. That boy's bad right there. About to jump in with you, Mr. Monday Night. Come on in, baby. About to jump in that water with you. They trying to hold it tight on your boy right now. Fair catch.
Alexander talking about that Rice touchdown.
Yeah, and they know where to go. If you're going to jump in some water, that's not bad water to jump in that Rice water.
1st and 10. Like hot springs. His age. That's caught. Itula Neely. Gain of 11. Sean Alexander running back tonight. They've held him in check. But not throughout his career. Different story tonight. 6 carries for 8 yards, but he has 3 straight years with 15 or more touchdowns. Jerry Rice on that list as well with Terrell Davis and Emmitt Smith. And this season, Alexander has 13, 10 of those on the ground. Here he goes to the outside. Close to a first down, tackled by Dat Wynn. You know, John, just going back to that Rice touchdown pass for a second. You had the interference on Jones. You know, you wonder, you could have called it on Jerry, too, at the end of the play, offensive, and you can do that. You know, when you're in the league as long as he is, it's like a guy who hits 300 every year. You're going to get the benefit of the strike zone.
Or how many strikes did they ever call on Ted Williams?
Right.
Like it was the type of thing of, he let it go, it must be a ball.
Right.
If Jerry Rice caught it and someone had their arm out there, it must be the other guy.
Here's Alexander again. That's a nice play. One-handed tackle by Dat Wynn. And just to go back, if you joined us late, Jerry Rice with the touchdown catch here. Clearly there's interference early, and then watch Jerry maneuver to try to get position back.
Yeah, and he does. I mean, he had Nathan Jones beat all the way there, and Jones runs into him and grabs him. Jerry pushed a little. See Jerry's left arm right there push? That's one way to get separation.
2nd and 7. Rice getting to play a lot with Corin Robinson suspended. Hasselbeck steps up, good presence, throws, finds the open man, and the ball is dropped. And the Dallas Cowboys come away with the ball. That's Lynn Scott coming back the other way. And Scott is out of bounds at the 39 of Seattle. So Terrence Newman with the coverage on Jeremy Urban. Urban making the catch, had it taken away, had it stripped out, and Scott runs it back into Seattle territory.
Jeremy Urban is the outside receiver. And you're going to see him here. He catches the ball, and then he turns to run, and the ball is stripped right there, and the Cowboys come up with it. That's one thing that you have to do now in tackling is you always go for the tackle, but you also go for the strip. Do you see Terrence Newman there? That right hand comes in there with a chop to try to strip.
Cowboys, not a lot of takeaways this year. That's only 12 in this their 12th game. Julius Jones stopped there by Kaczynski, the linebacker.
I'll tell you one thing about Julius Jones. He hits those holes quickly, and there's not much time for his blocking to develop. And if you're going to get a block, Flozell Adams and Larry Allen on that side, you better get it quickly because he is going to be into and through there.
He's a coal miner's son, but the difference is his mother is the coal miner. Julius Jones's mother is a West Virginia, or at least was a West Virginia coal miner. Second down and 6 at the 45, at the 35-yard line. And this is Jones, and he fights his way for a first down. And Michelle, you know all about that.
I do, because I talked to him about it. Betty, his mom, was a coal miner for 19 years, Al. She worked for the Westmoreland Coal Company in Appalachia, Virginia, and they were all very nervous about it, all 7 of her kids, because she was really deep underground. So when Julius's older brother Thomas got drafted by the Arizona Cardinals in 2000, she was finally able to retire. And even though he's proud to be a coal miner's son, he's glad she's above ground.
Jerry Jones is telling me she's a terrific lady. He said it's the last thing in the world you would have thought she ever did. Testaverde dumps one underneath, and it's off the back of a lineman, and then a flag is thrown because he threw it off Larry Allen's back.
Testaverde's having trouble in that middle. I mean, a couple times he hit Julius Jones, and he dropped the ball, and he's hit defensive linemen, hit his own offensive lineman, came very close to hitting the umpire. That's a congested area they're trying to get into there.
Terry McCauley will make the call, but a fairly penalty-free game. Only one accepted penalty thus far.
Illegal touching of the pass. Offense. Number 73. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Hasselbeck has missed only once tonight. He has 2 touchdown passes, and that rating is El Perfecto, 158.3. Vinny, slow start. Vinny didn't throw for that much in the Thanksgiving Day, but just efficiently guided the team on 2 touchdown marches, and that was enough to beat Chicago 21-7.
Remember, they said it was his shoulder, and he came in last night and said it wasn't my shoulder, it was my back. My back was out of alignment. He said, but he feels fine tonight.
Gives it to Jones on a 1st and 15. 1 or 2 yards. Grant Wistrom, the longtime Ram, who came over here in the offseason, makes the tackle.
And they really like Grant Wistrom because, he's one of those guys, they always say the same thing about him. He has a motor that goes 110 miles an hour, and he does. I mean, he goes from the time the ball snaps until the whistle blows, he goes full speed. And then, like Ray Rhodes, the defensive coordinator, was telling me the other day that you hope that the other guys around him just feed off this guy.
2nd and 14. Over the middle, underneath route, caught there by Darian Barnes, flag down. Flags on the far side of the field, indicated against Seattle.
Vinny finally found his guy there in the middle.
Illegal use of hands to the face. Defense, number 21. 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
That's the big part. Ken Lucas.
That's the big part. It's an automatic first down. That's Ken Lucas. He's the right corner and a very good player. You see him right here. He's just going to come up, and again, that's what happens when you go to get that jam. You want to jam that receiver on the line of scrimmage, but if your hand goes up and hits him in the face mask or anywhere in the helmet, then it's an illegal blow to the face. That's a tough one. I mean, Ray Rhodes wants his corners up there. He wants them to jam them, and every once in a while you're going to have to take a few of those.
First and 10, 26. Jones. Beat Mr. Rocky Bernard, number 99.
Well, that's Isaiah Kazavinsky. I mean, he's the guy. If the defensive line does their job up in front, then that allows the linebacker to run free here and make that play. And when you can hit that fullback in the backfield like that, there's no place for the tailback to run.
2nd and 9 now at the 26. Testaverde throws. That's caught. Good hands. Witten. First down inside the 10. First down and goal upcoming.
Well, he's a good player, that Jason Witten. You know, Ray Rhodes was saying the other day that he thinks he's the best tight end in the NFC. And you see that, you know, he's turned into a pretty good blocker, but as Vinny Testaverde said, he's a great receiver. And the thing that makes him a great tight end receiver is he always gets leverage on the defender. And you just saw it there, how he gets to the inside shoulder and then breaks out away from the inside shoulder.
They've been locking him down, the defenses have in the last 2 games, but hot again tonight. He's caught 3 for 30 yards, first down and goal. Good protection. Testaverde pump fakes, throws, and that is caught in the back of the end zone by Terrence Copper. Flag, though. Flag at the 2-yard line.
I think that pump that you said, I think it was to Copper the first time. Copper was open, and then Vinny pumped it to him, brought it back, and Copper got open again.
Holding. Defense. Number 26. Phillies decline. Touchdown.
Ken Hamlin with the hold.
Yeah, and that wasn't on Terrence Copper. He's holding Keyshawn Johnson. See, Keyshawn is right here, number 19. Copper's on the inside 18. That's where they called the holding. Here's the touchdown. Maybe that first pump was to Keyshawn Johnson.
Could have been. Dallas is going to go for 2. A lot of people say, well, it's too early in the game. Convert. Parcells has elected, at least they did elect, and then they decided to call a timeout. So we'll see what they do when we come back. 14-12 at the moment. Cowboys will go for a deuce, and Vinny Testaverde has just established an NFL record, breaking a tie with Steve DeBerg. He's now thrown a touchdown pass in his 18-year career to 63 different receivers, Copper being the 63rd, and now Vinny's going to flank out. And a little trick play coming up here as Patrick Creighton takes the snap and can't get into the end zone. So the Cowboys try a trick 2-pointer. Flank Testaverde out, snap the ball back to the rookie from Northwestern Oklahoma State, Patrick Creighton. Juggles it, can't get in, still a 2-point game. Trickery and deceit get the Cowboys nowhere on a 2-point conversion. 14-12 Seahawks. Maurice Morris runs it back to the 18. 2-point play.
Let's take a look again at that trickery and conceit. Here's Vinny Testaverde. We see the quarterback, and he's going to go out, and he's going to spread out to the left. Patrick Creighton will then be this guy right here, the only guy. He gives the silent count there. The ball is snapped a little behind him. He's trying to run a power sweep into the end zone, and it doesn't work. But, you know, with Bill Parcells, you always have to watch out for that. Not that. Not the little kid. He always has like 3 or 4 trick plays in every game.
Hasselback sliding in the pocket, throws. Whoa, baby. Making the catch and getting ripped by Roy Williams is Darrell Jackson. And that's a 12-yarder, and Jackson is a guy well known in these parts who drops a lot of on-target passes. This one he holds on to and somehow is able to keep holding on to it.
And with that hit, you know that had to be Roy Williams that comes in there. They had 8 men in the box. You know, we talked about how they're going to stop this Seattle run. Roy Williams was a strong safety. He was up in the box. They only had 3 deep. But when he reached pass, he comes flying back there.
Next play is a 4-yard gain by Sean Alexander on the ground over the left side. 5.5 to go.
I think that's why Hasselbeck is doing so well, because the Cowboys are saying that we're going to stop Sean Alexander. I mean, we are not going to let them run on us. We're going to gang up. We're going to have 8 men. We're going to have Roy Williams up there. And if they're going to beat us, Hasselbeck is going to have to do it. And the things that have been open have been in the passing game. Hasselbeck is now 11 out of 12.
Jackson on the run makes that catch. Tackled by Newman. And they beat the blitz on a 17-yard pickup.
Dude, they did on that side. Like you said, Al, it was a blitz. But you see the formation is all over here on the right side. So then they get single back here. And this is where he comes with the ball. To get the coverage over there, bring the blitz. Now you have a true one-on-one and a whole backside isolation.
Seahawks 48. The Dallas 48 for a first down now. Alexander stopped by Datwin, gain of 2, 2nd and 8. Valerie Alexander looking on. Now her husband's going to be, if he does not sign a contract before the free agency period, a free agent. Both Hasselbeck and Alexander are in what they call their contract years.
And Walter Jones is too. And and this is an offensive team, and this is a group that has to keep those guys, and they have 3 big timers they have to keep.
2nd and 8, Hasselbeck juggles, and it was almost intercepted. It's incomplete. Matt had hit 9 consecutive passes.
You think, the guys drop passes, and Matt Hasselbeck has had a lot of passes dropped on him. And, just like he says, there's nothing you can say to the guy that dropped the pass because, and I felt this, years back in coaching, the guy that feels the worst about a drop pass is always the guy that drops it. The second guy is probably his wife, and then you get down to the quarterback who threw it and maybe some more lineman or something.
Third cousin, 3rd and 8. Hasselbeck's going to run it himself. And his forward progress is going to be short of the first down. When you go head first like that, the play's not over until forward progress stops. If you slide, it's where you begin that slide, and they're short of the first down.
And so now what do you do? This is one of the things the Cowboys were in a nickel defense, so they did give them that thing. And Bill Parcells was aware of that. He says, Bill Parcells, he says, this guy will run, And Parcells was talking about Matt Hasselbeck. But now what do you do?
Well, every crowd, for starters, you take a timeout.
That's what I think Mike Holmes is going to say. Now what do you do? Let me have a timeout and think about it.
.335 left in the opening half. Dallas 4-7, Seattle 6-5. Seattle trying to stay on top in the NFC West.
I don't know that he did call timeout. The coach can call timeout from the sideline, and we saw Mike Holmgren call a timeout, and I don't think anyone accepted his timeout.
They didn't.
So it looked like he changed his mind. And of course, they can talk to the quarterback in the huddle, so they don't have to come over to the sideline anyway. He has decided to go for it.
Well, they're going to let the clock run down and then call the timeout is what they're going to do. So an official timeout here. Mike Holmgren called that timeout, took it back, let the clock run down, and now let's see what he's going to do. He's going to go for it.
We talked about the left side of the Dallas Cowboy offensive line. This is a very good left side of this Seattle Seahawk line. This isn't a bad place if you're going to run to go up.
And there's a fumble. And no matter who recovers it, the ball is going to belong to Dallas. Hasselbeck gets it himself. So the best laid plans. He lets the clock run down. He calls the timeout. Play call. Who knows what it would have been. Right now it's Dallas ball.
You see what the Cowboys did. They had 6 defensive linemen in there. It looks like Hasselbeck may come out of there a little quick. You see him? Looked like he started out before the ball was coming up. You watch him here. You see the 6 defensive linemen? Everyone's getting low. Oh, they don't get much movement on that side anyway. They got penetration on that left side where they were probably going to run. They wouldn't have made a first down anyway.
No. Robbie Tobeck, the center, snapping it now from the 41. Here come the Cowboys. Julius Jones to the 45 off of an Andre Gerard blocking of 4 under 3 minutes to go in the first half.
We talked to Julius Jones last night, and asked him if he comes out to to take a breather, or ever takes himself out, and he said, "Not only do I never take myself out, I don't even think of ever trying to take myself out."
He told us that Parcells got on him for coming out of a preseason game. Then after he broke his shoulder blade, he stayed in for 4 more plays. He was afraid to come out. Draw on 2nd and 6, and he pushes his way to the 50. 3rd and short coming up.
And that's one of the problems with the Cowboys now. Now that they have a running back, or think they have a running back in Julius Jones, they need that other guy. That other guy that will come in for a change of pace, that will give them a break, or at least that 3rd down back like a Richie Anderson.
Right now, there's the other guy, Eddie George.
They don't have confidence that he can do it, or he would be the guy doing it.
They get it off before the 2-minute warning on 3rd and 1, and that time they convert. Jones takes it to the 47. So a minute 57 and a half with Seattle up by 2 at home. I just plan to spend the entire interview taking instruction, getting swing thoughts. 1st and 10 from the 47. And Jones breaking tackles. Stopped finally by Trufant inside the 30. First down Cowboys. And Flozell Adams is hurt. 19-yard gain.
The Seattle Seahawks went in a dime defense, or 6 defensive backs, and came on a blitz on that play, and they gashed him with the draw or the delay. Flozell Adams, as you say, Al, is still down there. It was a draw or delay play, and you watch Flozell here, and he's picking up a blitz or a stunt. It looks like if anything happened to him before that, it was just Larry Allen stepped on him. Right there, look, yeah, you see what happened is Larry Allen just kicked his right foot out from under him. The big guy. I mean, when you're as big as Flozell Adams and weigh about 345 pounds, and a guy kicks your foot out from under you, some stuff starts to bobble.
That's an automatic timeout. So Julius Jones, the rookie, already with 111 yards in this first half, had 150 on Thanksgiving Day. Flozell Adams came out of the game. Kurt Boulders had come in, and then now Adams, because of that timeout, is able to come back. You have to have a timeout charged to you when you're hurt in the last 2 minutes of a half. So that's why they are out of timeouts right now, the Cowboys are.
You see Julius Jones has 15 carries already. Bill Parcells said, I don't want him to carry 30 times every game. He may not carry 30, he may carry 40.
1st and 10 underneath. Jones couldn't get the blocking he needed. Tackled there by Antonio Cochran, line of scrimmage.
Hey, one thing, Isaiah Kazavensky was up there, and he's playing that screen well. I mean, any delay type of thing, any screen, anything that they get out to a back, Kazavensky has been there all the time. I mean, that's the thing is they're going to try and get this screen out here. You see the screen to the right, and watch, right there's Kazavensky. Because you want to get on that guy and make him declare.
2nd and 10 from the 28-yard line. No catch. Darian Barnes, incomplete. Marcus Trufant hit him.
I think the thing that Vinny Testaverde's thinking right here is I'm right on the edge of field goal. I probably have a field goal, and the one thing that we can't take is we can't take a loss, we can't take a sack, but we don't want to do anything stupid, so he doesn't want to force anything. And this 3rd and long is a tough situation. I mean, you can either go for that short thing, just to get your field goal kicker in better range, or you can say, the heck with it, let's try and go for that 12-yard pass.
3rd and 10 now. Caught. Tight end. Witten. 1st and goal.
He said, the heck with it. Let's go for that 12-yard pass and get up there and spike it.
And that's what they'll do right now without a timeout. Still plenty of time. Stop the clock here.
No, that's okay. He doesn't have to worry about hitting his own guy with it. I think that's what he's thinking.
He didn't spike it. That's why the ball came loose. Now he spikes it. So because he didn't spike it, he actually fumbled the snap. That's why that's why the clock kept running. It was ruled a fumble.
I thought that he did spike it, but thought that he hit his own guy, which is okay to hit your own guy. But like you say, it was a fumble. He never had control of it.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah. You see, he never got control of it so that he could spike it, so he had to recover it. But at least he knew, okay, I didn't spike it. I better get it, because that's not a spike. Then I better get up and do it again.
So now instead of 2nd down, it's a critical 3rd down. Jones on a draw and a touchdown. What a call. That's one of those, if it doesn't work, you go, what kind of a call was that?
That was
if it works,
call, yeah.
What a call.
Julius Jones makes a heck of a move on that. They get him spread out. Seattle was expecting pass because there was no timeout. They were in dime defense. They had 6 defensive backs in there, which is an ideal time to run a draw.
For the extra point.
The other who makes a good block on that is Al Johnson, the center, and he's starting to pull a lot more. And what you see is you'll see Larry Allen will block down, and then Al Johnson, the center, will pull around. So Allen gets that block right there, and right there Johnson gets his guy. He gets Kazavinsky, whose man is Julius Jones. You see Jones waiting right there for him, and you see he just comes right off on him. And here's Jason Witten. This is a play that set it up. Starts as an outside receiver. We know he's a tight end, but the thing is he's such a good receiver and runs such good patterns that they can just put him anywhere on the field.
5-point Dallas lead in a game in which Seattle got off to a hot start, led 14-3. But the Cowboys, who have trouble playing uphill, that was 16 unanswered points and a little more than a half minute to go in the half.
Pretty good play call in there by the old coach, because he wasn't sure exactly what happened on that fake and then on that spike, and it went from 1st down to 3rd down on him very quickly.
And 3rd down meant if they didn't convert, chances are they would have had to settle for the field goal in a 15-14 lead. Instead, it's 19-14. Kickoff comes down to the 10. Maurice Morris to the 28. Clock stops at the end of this play. 28 seconds remaining in the half. 2 timeouts. Parcells and Holmgren have met a couple of times in the past, including the Super Bowl in New Orleans. Super Bowl 31 turned out to be Bill's last game as the Patriots coach, and this was the golden day for Mike Holmgren as his years in Green Bay were paid off. Desmond Howard was the most valuable player with his runbacks that afternoon in New Orleans. That fabled sight, the confetti streaming down, Holmgren being carried off, and Mike won the Super Bowl with the Packers. From the 28, Hasselbeck. In the scene, Jackson, 43, 1st down there. Timeout taken by Seattle. That's their 2nd. A lot of coaches have won the Super Bowl and tried to win it with other teams. Vince Lombardi, later coach with the Redskins. Don McCafferty won it with the Colts. Then Detroit hired him. He had Hank Stram with the Chiefs, and then he went to the Saints in the mid-'70s. Tom Flores won the Super Bowl with the Raiders and then came up here. Jimmy Johnson with the Cowboys, and then to the Dolphins for 4 seasons. Mike Ditka, after the Chicago Super Bowl triumph, went to New Orleans. George Seifert in San Francisco, then to Carolina. Dick Vermeil still going. Won it with the Rams, now trying to do it with the Chiefs eventually. Mike Holmgren and Bill Parcells.
I guess the lesson is here, if you win a Super Bowl, stay put.
Flag. Hasselbeck throws out of bounds.
No, it's happened in this free agency.
Offense, number 72, 10-yard penalty, first down.
Chris Terry.
Yeah, free agency and salary cap. You have a salary cap on what you can pay players to make up your team, and there's no salary cap on coaches. So I think that's someplace, if you're looking for an advantage in the salary cap area, that's a place you can get an advantage, is paying a coach a whole heck of a lot of money.
A lot of owners have tried to do that, but the bottom line, John, is that no coach has won a Super Bowl with the next team.
If you are a coach and you do have a good team and you win a Super Bowl, just stay there and be happy. That's what I would do.
Well, Parcells came the closest because he took New England to the Super Bowl but didn't win it. He took the Jets to the AFC Championship game as Jerry Rice makes the catch, but they throw underneath, and they're going to run out of time.
Yeah, but don't you feel that he should have stayed with the Giants?
Well, remember, it was a health issue at that point. He needed some time off. Crowd hates the fact they've blown an 11-point lead. It's 19-14 Dallas. Resounding boos at Quest Field. Coming up next will be the Lexus halftime show. Tiger Woods coming up live when we come back to Seattle. 19-14 Dallas at the half. The Space Needle, symbol of Seattle, Washington. And this cool Monday night with Dallas on top 19-14. And Billy Cundiff ready to kick off for the Dallas Cowboys.
Now that would be a bridge, huh?
That would be a bridge and a half. Maurice Morris brings it back to the 21-yard line, and let's check in with Michelle.
Well, Mike Holmgren told me at halftime that in order to slow down Julius Jones, he may need to commit one more defender to the box. And as far as his own running game goes, he is still committed to getting Sean Alexander going. As for Bill Parcells, he really likes the way his team is moving the football. He told me he's concerned about his defense settling down, not giving up as many big plays here in the second half. His prediction, whoever grabs momentum early here will probably win.
Well, he wants to start on the ground, as he said, and he does it with Alexander, and he gets a nice run here on the opening play. Gain of 9 up to the 30-yard line. Lynn Scott is there for the tackle. Take a look at the numbers through the first half. Jones already has 119 on the ground, and thus Dallas dominating on the ground. Seahawks more through the air. Seahawks have turned the ball over one time. Total yards pretty close.
You know, like we've always said, the running gets easier in the third and fourth quarter.
Alexander lost the ball. It's a fumble, and it's Datwin who comes away with the football. Sean Alexander, and he won't even argue the point. Take a look at the replay.
We talked about that 8th man in the box, and you see Roy Williams. You see, he's the guy, and he gets in there, and he makes the first stop. And as he twists, that's when the ball comes out of Alexander. Watch him see. He makes the hit right there, and then the ball starts to come out. Datwin is right there to pick it up. It's a second turnover for the Seahawks in about the same spot, isn't it?
First one costly. The other one, the Jeremy Urban fumble, which was run back into Seattle territory and resulted in a score at the end of the drive. First and 10 now from the 21. Fake to Jones. Testaverde throws out the flat. Keyshawn Johnson And Johnson has a first down. He's out of bounds near the 10-yard line. First down.
You see, like Mike Holmgren was telling Michelle that, you may have to put that 8th guy up there to stop Julius Jones, get that extra guy. Then now you concentrate on Julius Jones. You concentrate on stopping the run, and watch what they do. They're going to fake him in here and bootleg out to this side. See the fake there? Now everyone is going for Julius Jones. Vinny Testaverde can just come out to the backside, and Keyshawn Johnson's wide open. That's where running helps your passing game.
First and goal, 10-yard line. Jones. Touchdown. Darian Barnes, the fullback, led the way. And so Parcells watches his team get a big takeaway and very quickly move into the end zone.
Yeah, 2 tight ends, they get in there, and this is where running helps the running game. Again, anytime you're going to get a big block here, and you're going to get a big block here, and anytime you get this handle, you have a chance for a pretty big run in the running game. Watch Larry Allen. Just stay with his guy, turn his guy out, and then Julius Jones can cut right off him.
Cundiff for the point after it. So a 14-3 Seattle lead is now a 26-14 Seattle deficit. Dallas by a dozen. Across the parking lot sits Safeco Field, the beautiful retractable roof home of the Seattle Mariners. Roof is open tonight. And our thanks to the acknowledgement of 35 years of Monday Night Football. Maurice Morris takes the kick at the 8-yard line and brings it back up to the 27-yard line. And so the Seattle Seahawks, who start with a turnover, now down by 12 points, go back to work after that Alexander turnover.
You know who's going to be quiet about right now? Those people that said they wanted Drew Henson.
Yeah.
I think that has got now all those things in the NFL are very temporary. I mean, it comes and goes. You have a good team here, a bad team. You're in, you're out, you're all these things. But I think that Drew Henson stuff is going to calm down a little.
Well, it was a big story in Dallas after the Thanksgiving game where owner Jerry Jones expressed, in his words, some disappointment and some frustration over the fact they won the game. He loved that, but they couldn't do it with the young guys, obviously meaning number 1, Henson. Hasselbeck throws, pass incomplete. So some of the quotes that he had in regard to that, I thought we hadn't seen enough negatives from Drew. I'm not second-guessing Bill. He loved the win. It'll be exciting for the fans when they can do it with the young players. So it was disappointing to see Henson benched. And, of course, that led to all of the stuff about, well, we told you it wouldn't work, Parcells and Jones. But you know what? Bill had to be a little disappointed himself that Henson couldn't pull it off in the second half and play well enough in the first. I'm sure Bill would have loved to have won the game with Drew Henson.
Right, and he was seeing that, he was getting blitzed, and there were things that he couldn't handle, and, he was a little late on everything. And I think the big thing about Drew Henson is he's going to get his opportunity, and I think a lot of that stuff was just kind of hoping against hope, kind of rooting for him that, they haven't really had one since Troy Aikman, and this guy has to be the guy, and they want him to be the guy so badly that maybe he's not the guy.
Well, in today's world where you parse every belch in the paper and on talk radio, everybody wanted to make a big deal out of it. 3rd down and 7. Hasselbeck throws, and that's tipped by Lynn Scott. 4th down and 7. He's checking with Michelle.
Well, I spoke to Jerry Jones about those comments you were talking about, Al, and he said since Thanksgiving, he and Bill Parcells have been in constant communication that together they agreed right now is the focus, and that Vinny Testaverde gives them the best chance to win this game tonight. They're living in the here and now, and I think as long as Vinny Testaverde keeps performing the way he is, Al, based on what Jerry Jones told me, there's not going to be a quarterback change.
If they come out of this with a win, they're 5-7. Then they have New Orleans at home next week.
Right, and they're right in the middle of that big old clump.
That is a clump. False start here.
Prior to the snap, false start, offense, number 53. 5-yard penalty, 4th down.
Yeah, the Cowboys have picked up the momentum, and they know they have it, and you can feel the fans turning against their Seahawks. But on that last play, on that third down play, they came with a safety blitz. They came with a lot of pressure on the left side, and they brought their safety, Roy Williams, and looks like they think that now they want to throw Hasselbeck out of any rhythm that he may have had. Earlier, they wanted to stop Sean Alexander. Now I feel that they want to come and put a lot of heat on Matt Hasselbeck.
Ken Walker recently picked up, punted with the Super Bowl champion New England Patriots last year. Left-footed kicker, fair caught up at the 44-yard line by Lance Frazier. Crowd boos the kick, crowd boos the offense. Crowd not happy. Dallas up by 12. The state of football is what it's called. Some of those helmets come from the Palouse region over in Eastern Washington or Washington State. I just love to say Palouse. It's just such a great word to say.
You know, what I like to say is Bellevue.
Bellevue.
They're pretty good, too. Like Bellevue beat De La Salle, and they'd won 151 straight.
Yeah, and that is caught as Keyshawn Johnson on the sideline stays in bounds with great concentration, pulls in a 39-yard pass and run from Vinny Testaverde.
You're going to say, here's Keyshawn Johnson, here's Trufant right here. He's up on him, but he doesn't get a bump. You see, he gets a little touch here, which is really illegal, and a perfect throw by Vinny Testaverde. I don't know, is Keyshawn Johnson in?
Too late.
Academic.
But hold it, because maybe there was a buzz.
The replay pager went off.
Yeah, I think Mike Holmgren has to challenge that one.
Yep, too big a play in the game.
Right, it was on the other side of the field. But again, does Keyshawn have control of the ball right there and both feet in bounds?
I think he's going to win this challenge, and that's something that Mike Holmgren has not done very often. So he has to have control.
And keep control all the way down
to the ground.
Which he does, but how about that throw by Vinny Testaverde?
Yeah.
I mean, that's about as perfect as a pass can be.
It's be pretty close. Back in a moment. We've been viewing this, and we think that this will be ruled a catch and will not be overturned. And Mike Holmgren will see another failed challenge. Take a look at Johnson. 1 foot down, drags the second, has possession in the air there, still has possession even though it's with one hand on the ground.
The receiver controlled the football, pinned down on his left foot, and drug his right foot. It is a completed catch as ruled on the field. Seattle's charged with their first team timeout.
Well, we're at the challenge close enough, but again, Mike Holmgren sees another challenge go down the drain.
And I think he just had to do anything to slow up this Cowboy offense. But look at the time that Vinny Testaverde has. That's a perfect pocket, and he throws a perfect pass. I mean, Keyshawn Johnson didn't give him a lot of room to the sideline, so he didn't have any width. So he had to do it with depth and throw it right over his head. You see that pocket? I mean, that was a good shot from there where it showed how Vinny had the protection and how he could see and how he could step up and get everything on that throw.
Johnson's biggest play of the year, longest, 39-yard reception. First down, 17-yard line for the Cowboys now. Julius Jones runs into a tackle.
Yeah, but this looks like such a different Cowboy team than we saw 3 weeks ago, and we talked about it earlier about a team that has the confidence now, and even Bill Parcells I felt had more confidence. And to me, it's all about being able to run the ball and Julius Jones and now the Seattle Seahawks have to worry about stopping him, and then they do that, and everything else is wide open. They go 4 wide receivers, spread them out. Now what do you do if you're Seattle?
Second down and 9. Jones. Julius Jones. Flag at the 5-yard line. And it's going to be a hold against Dallas.
Holding offense. Number 81. 10-yard penalty. Second down.
Quincy Morgan, the receiver, holding and costing him a touchdown.
And you wonder why. Because, you know, they had him spread out. Quincy Morgan is outside, and you're going to see him right here. He was a slot receiver. Yeah, he just holds right there with his left hand, and that was part of the blocking that Julius Jones needed right there. So that was a good call.
Correct.
It was a tough block there for Quincy Morgan because he had to come in and he had to make a block right there at the point of attack.
Blocked the linebacker Solomon Bates. So it's second down and 14. It was a 5-yard gain. That part of it counts in a 10-yard penalty. Second down and 14. And a screen to Jones, and they bust that. Orlando Huff with the tackle.
One thing you know, Julius Jones isn't going to come out of the game, and Bill Parcells is going to work until his tongue drags.
He played with that broken shoulder. He'll play with anything.
I think his tongue is starting to drag right now, and I think right there he was looking longingly at the sidelines. Bill Parcells is ignoring him. Eddie George is eating a towel. Richie Anderson isn't even dressed for the game tonight. This is going to be all about Julius Jones.
Third and 14. And a big sack. What a great defensive stand that time by Seattle when they had to have one. Cheeky O'Keefer, they got the holding call, and then they're able to break up a screen, and then they get a sack, and they almost knocked the Cowboys out of field goal range. They're right on the edge.
Cheeky O'Keefer here on Torrin Tucker, right here on the right side, and you see he just runs right by him. He gets him straightened up, and then he can go right around him. So the biggest play on that thing, though, was the penalty that called back the touchdown.
Key play. Now Billy Cunda from 47. And this one is his best shot of the night, not only in terms of length, but in accuracy. He's plunked one, barely got one inside and upright, but this time this one is good. 15-point game. Dallas. Shaken up most of the season. Find out if he can go at it. But right now, the Dallas Cowboys, 26 unanswered points, up 29-14, and a spinning kick goes into the end zone. Down by Maurice Morris. Seahawks will begin at their own 20. Mike Holmgren started his head coaching career with Green Bay. Brett Favre, of course, was the man. Mike was there from the very outset after they acquired Favre from Atlanta. So 74 and 35 as the two of them combined for that stellar mark. 2 Super Bowl appearances, 1 win. But with 6 other quarterbacks, Mike's record is 48 and 46.
I think maybe there's a lesson there, too. If you ever get a great quarterback, stay put until he leaves.
Play fake by Hasselback, and then he drops it underneath, and that's dropped by Sean Alexander. Now the dropped pass has become as indigenous to Seattle as coffee.
Yeah, and it seems like every time you watch the Seattle Seahawks, you see guys dropping passes, and that was my first image of the Seahawks, as they drop passes all the time. But Sean Alexander, who Mike Holmgren told us last night, has to have a big night, is having a terrible night for Sean Alexander. Last couple of plays, he fumbled the one before that and then dropped that pass.
13 carries, 39 yards, 3 yards a carry. And Mr. Jerry Rice makes his presence known again. Scored a touchdown earlier in the game. Covered there by Terrence Newman. Got it off to him quickly because of the blitz. Speaking of the drop passes, well, you've got this kind of a montage that you can look at time and again. Darrell Jackson's dropped a lot. Corn Robinson, who is suspended right now, has been the culprit on a lot of occasions. Even little throws out into the flat, go down, and D-Jack again right there. So they know all too well about drop balls in Seattle. From the 31-yard line, that's Jackson. And Darrell is close to a first down. He's tackled there by Terrence Newman, and Jackson having a nice night. That's 99 yards for him on 7 grabs.
And Mike Holmgren was saying that, you know, Darrell Jackson has good hands. It's just that, you know, he's thinking about running with the ball, and that's when he has the problems. Is is, instead of looking the ball all the way in like he does there, he's looking up to see where he's going to go. The Seahawks have tried everything. They even put numbers on the ball. They put like a 5, so you have to read the number as it comes into you.
2nd and 1. Hasselbeck underneath. This time Alexander does hold on to the 48 the first down, and here's Michelle again.
Well, I spoke with Nolan Cromwell, the wide receivers coach, as I told you earlier, Al. I asked him about the drop passes. He said they were trying to create big plays and lost focus of the football, as you guys mentioned. So the mantra this week in practice has been catch it, tuck it, then run, and he wants these guys to catch the ball, even if it means falling down right there on it and not running with it, Al.
Cromwell doing double duty this week. Alexander goes nowhere. They had Nolan and Gil Haskell, their offensive coordinator, who's also been a special teams coach, kind of helping out Mark Michaels, the special teams coach, because Seattle's had a lot of problems in that area.
Yeah, and I think that's a good idea anyway, and you wonder why haven't you always been doing that. Gil Haskell is the offensive coordinator and a very good coach, but special teams coaches need help sometimes, and I think that's, the other coaches can just jump in and help them.
2nd down and 10, 48-yard line. They get a hold of Hasselbeck. That's a live ball had he dropped it, because that was a backward pass, and Alexander is able to make the catch and take it to the 50-yard line. Broke out of the grasp to Hasselbeck of Leroy Glover. The Monday Night Spotlight tonight for Matt Hasselbeck. 2 touchdown passes, both early. Vinny Testaverde, only 128 pass yards, but more effective tonight. Julius Jones, another big game, and the Cowboys have cashed in for 13 off a couple of turnovers.
I tell you, this Cowboy defense is really playing well, and they're getting good play from their inside tackles.
3rd down and 8 now from the 50-yard line. They didn't get the playoff. Clock had run down. Delay a game.
The other thing I know that is big to the Cowboys, it's big to everyone.
Delay game, offense, 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
I know Vinny Testaverde talks about it. Bill Parcells talks about it. Is playing with a lead. Now they can kind of play their football, and they can do anything. They can run it. They can pass it. They can, slow the ball down, slow the clock down, slow the tempo down, go play action pass, bootleg Vinny. Once you get ahead, you're 29-14, you have a lead like this, everything in your offense is a play you can use.
3rd and 13. Empty backfield. Yep, 3-man line. 3-man rush. Hasselbeck gets the block that he needs there, and that enables him to complete it, but there is a flag down. It took so much time. Who knows who might or might not have been downfield. Jeremy Stevens made the catch, but this one has the look of a play that will come back.
Well, I see 5 offensive linemen. And so...
Illegal contact, defense, number 30. Penalties decline, 1st down.
No, it won't come back. Lance Frazier with the contact.
I saw the 5 offensive linemen there, and that's the first thing you think is they get an offensive lineman downfield. And you see it's going to be Frazier right there, number 30. That's after 5 yards, and it's a hold. But the thing that the Cowboys are thinking of in that 3-man line is to make Hasselbeck throw into 8-man coverage.
From the 29, pressure's on. He's stepping up. He's going to run with the ball. Slides to a hole at the 20-yard line. A couple of inches shy of the first.
The thing they're getting, I talked about the middle guys, how they're doing a good job of getting pressure up the middle and stopping the run. That time they got the pressure right up the middle, and they spun out of it. Here comes Greg Ellis. He gave them problems early, so they start to double team. He's going to try that inside move. They are going to jam him with the guard.
2nd and a short 1. Guess they give it to Max Strong, the fullback. Forward progress gets him the first down. 18-yard line. Stopped by Coakley with a little more than 5 minutes to go in the 3rd period.
That's one thing you don't see much anymore is the fullback carry the ball. I mean, that's kind of a lost art. You know, anytime a team uses two backs, usually one is the blocker and the other one's the runner. Remember, there was a day when you had a fullback and a halfback, and they each got the ball about 50-50.
Now it's like 95-5. 4 wideouts, first down and 10. Cowboys jump, but was Ellis induced by Chris Terry is the question.
Well, if he wasn't, you wonder why they blew the whistle, because he didn't look like he was unabated to the quarterback.
Prior to the snap, neutral zone infraction, defense, number 98 entered the neutral zone, causing a reaction by number 72. 5-yard penalty, first down.
So that is Greg Ellis. He's the end man right here, and the neutral zone is the football. So he's going to move and get in the neutral zone right there. You see, he's in the neutral zone. Now, he made the offensive tackle move. Instead of being on the offensive tackle, it goes to the defensive guy who jumps in the neutral zone.
But it was close enough, I thought, with the ball being snapped at that moment, that they could have just called it on Ellis and let Seattle run a play. 1st and 5. Hasselbeck throws. Catch is made. Rice at the 7-yard line. And a 1st and goal now for Seattle on a very big drive. Very important.
This is the thing, that Hasselbeck is a streak passer, and that's what Bill Parcells was worried about, is the guy does get hot. And you see they had 2 receivers on that side. The inside guy went to the outside. The outside guy came underneath. Matt Hasselbeck had good pass protection and hit him perfectly.
Dallas has been very porous in the red zone of late. 1st and goal. And that's thrown above Jackson. Last 7 times that the Dallas opponents, as Hasselbeck comes up a little shaken, the last 7 times that the Cowboy opponents have gotten into the red zone, they've gotten into the end zone.
Right, but on that one, I think Matt Hasselbeck had to just throw that away, because you talk about throwing into coverage. There were 3 white jerseys where he threw that ball, so it better be high and right out of the end zone. There was no way that was going to be a touchdown. Hasselbeck looked like he hurt his hand.
He did, absolutely. He's grabbing it, grabbing the right hand, right wrist with the left hand, 2nd down and goal. So he gives the ball to Alexander, and Williams is there to drag him down by the neck. You know, the way Hasselbeck looked, I'm not even sure he could have gotten a good grip on the ball, because he was holding his hand all the way up to the line of scrimmage. Call a running play, and now let's see if the extra 45 seconds or so will enable him to throw it.
Watch Roy Williams here. I mean, when you have a guy who's an all-pro or a top safety, he has to make plays like this. This is either going to be a touchdown for Alexander or a tackle by Williams. Williams wins that battle.
3rd and goal. Hasselbeck throwing, knocked down by Newman. Ingram was the intended receiver, and Hasselbeck had all he could handle in the backfield because of the Leonardo Carson rush, and Mike Holmgren has to settle for a field goal, or at least come up and attempt a field goal.
The Cowboys are doing a good job of defense here in the end zone. You see they make Hasselbeck step up, and look at all those white jerseys in there. Terrence Newman is the guy that knocked it down, but look at all those white jerseys that are defending the end zone. There's nowhere for the green jerseys to go.
Josh Brown for a chip shot field goal of 21 yards, so they come up with 3 to make it a 12-point game. 3:01 left in the 3rd. Dallas up 29-17. Aerial coverage being provided by Budweiser. We look down upon West Field in Seattle. Really a magnificent field. I know you're always coming on saying, oh, it's beautiful, new, whatever. I'm ranking this number 1, John. I mean, I love the way they did this park.
You know, Mike Holmgren was telling us yesterday that if it rains, and it hasn't rained here in the 3 years of this stadium, but if it rains, 70% of the people don't get wet.
They're covered by the roof as Rashard Lee runs it back. Flag is down on the play. See what they did here, I would call it, they didn't make this luxury box dominant. In other words, you go into a lot of stadiums and it looks like they're top-heavy with luxury suites, and that the regular fans are sort of forgotten. But here,
there's
very
no foul
subtly
for an
done.
illegal block in the back. First down.
What are those suites they have down there in the end zone? What are those things called? Those field level suites. They look kind of interesting.
Red zone suites, they're famous, of course, because that's where Terrell Owens went when we did a Monday night game here 2 years ago after he scored a touchdown. He went over to his business manager, as I recall, and that's where you had the Sharpie incident, right in that area.
Right, you know where I'd hate to sit is way up on top of that single thing that goes up there. You look like you're in an airplane up there.
Paul Allen, of course, of Microsoft fame. Dallas. Here's Jones to the 33. Jones, we asked him yesterday about the fact that he was passed over until the second round, and then a lot of people thought, well, he was the wrong call by Dallas. Here's what he said.
I knew people thought I was wasn't a good draft pick for the Cowboys, and they should have taken this guy and not passed up on this guy. And I knew that coming into it. So, I've always got something to prove every time I go out. Every game I go out, I have something to prove, and I just keep that chip on my shoulder to motivate me.
A lot of people felt the Cowboys should have drafted Steven Jackson when they had the opportunity. Wound up going to St. Louis. Had a nice day yesterday as Testaverde retreats on first down and then throws, and the pass a little bit behind Quincy Morgan. And now an update on Julius Jones and what he's looked like tonight, John.
Well, Bill Parcells said that he was going to work him, and he's carried the ball 20 times so far for 139 yards, 2 touchdowns. But he just shows great instincts, and he's always low and with good balance. I mean, that's the big thing. You see how his shoulders are always down, and he has good balance, and he can wait for the blocks to develop and then cut off them. I mean, he has played one heck of a game tonight.
Calvin Hill, the last rookie, 100 or more yards, 2 consecutive games, 3rd down and 6 now. Here come the Hawks. Cowboys do a nice job on the pickup, and Keyshawn Johnson makes the grab. So the Seahawks were coming. The line did its work. Hobbling off is Johnson, but it's a first down.
And I'll tell you who else did his work is watch Julius Jones here. This is the thing that you always worry about a running back. Can he pass protect? Can he pick up a blitz? Because if he can't do that, he can't play. And Julius Jones did it, and he did it perfectly to let Vinny Testaverde make that pass.
The safety Vieira was the pickup.
But that's the last thing that these rookie running backs pick up is pass protection.
From the 44, first down for the Dallas Cowboys. And that is caught by Witten in the tight end, running laterally, picks up about 9 yards, 2nd and short upcoming as we tick down to the end of period 3. And here's Michelle.
Well, I spoke with Jerry Jones about Julius Jones. There's a lot of Jones there to talk about, but in talking to him, he said he was really debating, he and Parcells, whether or not to put Julius Jones on injured reserve when he got that scapula fracture. And they thought about it because they weren't sure how quickly he'd heal, Al, but they said they're so impressed by the way he battled through it and matured, and that his performances lately have been courageous.
Tough to keep up with the Joneses. But here's Julius again, and that should be enough for a first down.
Well, the one thing, because his injury was a scapula, he was able to do all his cardiovascular. I remember when we were down there last time watching him in practice, they had him over on the other field, and he was probably working harder than anyone else was. And then, the shoulder injury is bad, but at least you can do all those cardiovascular things.
Right now, the play clock is dead even with the game clock, so they can let this tick down to the end of the quarter. Do not have to run a play.
And it looks like they all know that, don't they?
They looked up. Simultaneous. Even the atomic clock ticked down together. Whatever that means. End of 3. 29-17 Dallas, and Monday Night Football resumes from Seattle after this message from our ABC stations. Seattle is the site. Al Michaels, John Madden, and Michelle Tafoya. Quest Field. Start the 4th quarter. ESPN has Sports Center as usual at the end of this game. All the updates. The Seattle Seahawks. Never been to a Super Bowl. Haven't won a postseason game since '84. But this year the expectations are very high, or at least have been. Here's Julius Jones. Big night to the 39-yard line. Julius Jones, coming off his 150-yard day against the Bears, has 147 on the ground tonight.
That's why you like an experienced offensive lineman. Watch Larry Allen here. It's a run to this side. You see the motion. Here comes the blitzer. He just steps out, picks up the blitzer, gets a lead block, and Julius Jones just goes right to that side. You know, Bill Parcells said that the thing about Julius Jones, it lets him balance his offense. He is in perfect balance now. 23 runs, 23 passes.
2nd and 4. And that's a great play there by Nico Kudavides, the linebacker, the rookie from Purdue. And at the beginning of the game, we talked about all of the injuries to the Seattle linebackers, with Chad Brown leading the way. They hope to have him back in a couple of weeks. So if you drew a chart, they would have their 5th, 6th, and 7th best linebackers in as starters.
Right, and these are the guys that should be playing the special teams for the Seahawks, and I think that's one of the things that the Cowboys have taken advantage of is these linebackers. And Ray Rhodes was saying that, you know, sometimes all these guys that he has in there, he has 3 middle linebackers.
3rd and 7. Vinny flagged, and that'll be an interference call. Marcus Trufant that time grabbing a hold of Terrence Copper. Easy call to make, and it'll be a first down.
Pass interference, defense, number 23, automatic first down.
You know, Terrence Copper, Bill Parcells was saying, is the most improved player in the team. He's a practice squad guy. He gets up, he plays special teams, and as Bill says, whenever a guy does well on special teams, then he gets to make the trip. Then if he gets to make the trip, then you're going to play him in the game. And he said, every time I put this guy in a game, he makes plays for us. Now, here's a guy that's made a whole bunch of plays, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Yep, I can't get that off. What's going on?
X marks the spot. 1st and 10. Vinny gets to the sideline, chased by Rashad Moore.
Vinny, not a great runner.
No.
Vinny, not one of the all-time scramblers. Vinny happy to get to the sideline and get out of bounds.
Very.
But I'll tell you, for 41 years old, I mean, just talking to him last night, I was talking to him on the field before. Have you ever seen a guy that looked better?
No.
I mean, and he plays that way. I mean, there's no way that you could tell that Vinny Testaverde. I mean, maybe on that last run there, you'd say, well, you know, he looks like a 40-year-old guy.
Wait a minute. Here's one other guy for you. Jerry Rice, I think he looks better.
Not bad.
And stopped in his tracks that time is Julius Jones. But for a quarterback. Well, you know who also was, you think about the guys who played into their 40s. One guy's in the stadium tonight because he works on the Seattle radio broadcast. Warren Moon. Warren stayed in real good shape until the end.
And Warren was one of those guys. There he is right there. And he was one of those guys who played in Canada for a while and then came down and had a long career, and a long and great career in the NFL. I think you have to be good. I think you have to be tough, and I think you have to be a little lucky to not have the big injury.
Yeah, Moon, Flutie still active. 3rd and 14, and Dallas is going to take a timeout. Their first of the half. 12:19 left. Dallas by 12. Good shot downtown Seattle. Dallas has just taken a timeout. And 3rd and 14 coming up as they try to at least get into field goal range here. Right now they'd be looking at a 55-yarder, which they probably would not attempt. Testaverde throws, intercepted. Big play by Vieira, the safety, coming up with the interception. On a 3rd and long, Vinny gives it up, and the Seahawks will try to mount a big comeback. Gerald Vieira with his first career interception, 3rd year in the league. The Cowboys have scored on 5 consecutive possessions, and it ends right here.
Vinny was trying to throw that one to the left, had a scramble out to the right, and he made a commitment to throw the ball to the right, and Barrera was just playing back there as a safety.
From the 28-yard line now. Hasselback to the outside. That's caught. Rice makes the catch. Jerry Rice with 6 catches tonight. Newman covers. Back to the interception we go.
Let's watch this again. We talked about Vinny coming back here. See, he's looking left, and now he doesn't have anything there. So as he starts to go here, he commits that he's going to throw the ball. Here's Barrera here. He's just staying back there as a safety, and you see he just gets a jump in the ball. There's only one receiver over there, 4 defenders. He knows he can go for it.
From the 43-yard line. Hasselback. Wide open is Jeremy Stevens. And Stevens, who was their #1 draft choice and has not been able to replace Etula Mealy as the starting tight end, flanks out, and he's in the game because Mealy was hurt earlier on a kickoff play. 32-yard game.
You see, that's when you drop a zone right there. You're going to get a guy wide open. Here he is right here. He's in the slot. You see the wide receiver out here this side. You see the zone is just dropped right there. And here he is out here on this side. Excuse me.
Out of the end zone, but out of the end zone, and a flag is thrown. Jackson contacted by Lance Frazier all the way down the sideline, and it's going to go against Frazier.
The Seahawks have something going now. They caught on that last one. They caught the Cowboys are running with the inside guy.
Pass interference. Defense. Number 30. Automatic first down.
Leaving the outside guy go free, and then you wonder when the Seahawks were going to start to work on Lance Frazier. We talked to Mike Holmgren yesterday. He said that's one thing we're going to do is we're going to work on him, and they really haven't seemed to. And I think Lance Frazier has improved also. Bill Parcells has given him the signal for uncatchable ball.
Thought it was overthrown too much. 19-yard penalty. Frazier put the arm bar on him. 1st and goal. And this is Alexander trying to chug his way to the end zone, just short.
And Alexander has a little making up to do here. This has not been it hasn't even been an average night for Sean Alexander, and the closer you get to the goal line, the better he is. I mean, he's a touchdown scoring machine, this guy.
But averaging less than 3 per toe tonight. 2nd down and goal. Double tight end setup here. And it doesn't look like he breaks the plane here, so it's 3rd down.
And the Cowboys know that too. I'm really impressed with this Cowboy defense. They haven't been playing well all year. Remember last year they were #1 in defense, and they came into this game and they know that they have to stop the run, that they have to stop Sean Alexander, and they have done a heck of a job of plugging up that middle. Mike Zimmer, the defensive coordinator.
Womack is in the game. Normally a tackle in a tight end spot right here. 3rd down and goal. Off the fake. Hasselback rolling in trouble. Has to get lucky to the end zone and can't get Alexander. And they're really, I think, compelled to go for it on 4th down and goal here. A field goal. No
the thing is, if you think you're going to go for it on 4th down, I think that 3rd down would have been a good running situation. But Mike Holmgren is thinking, well, I'm going to go for it on 4th down, so let's go play action pass. If they want to sell out against Sean Alexander, then we'll fake to him and we'll throw the ball. Sean Alexander didn't sell out on that run fake.
4th and goal. They come up tight. A little toss to Alexander, and Alexander is able to will his way into the end zone. Boy, it looked like he was going to get stopped. It looked like he ran into his own guy. Might not get in there, but he willed his way in.
Right, well, they tried that middle, and it had been plugged up. It had been plugged up all night. So they said, let's get to the outside. They get a good block there. Roy Williams gets knocked a little beyond Alexander so he can cut off that block. The guy that has to make this play is Roy Williams right there. When he doesn't make it, it's going to be a touchdown.
Brown for the point after. Seahawks make it a 5-point game. He had a lot of stuff going on that play. Looked like he was running into his own man. There's a penalty here on the extra point. Get it offside against Dallas on the kickoff. It'll be enforced. But you had Alexander. Looked like he was going to be stopped. Looked like he was running into his own guy. And
offside defense. The point's good. 5 yards will be assessed on the kickoff. Timeout.
Looked like the ball was coming loose as well. Take a look at this. Yeah.
I think you said it right. He willed himself in there, Al.
Big, big touchdown. Find out who the player of the year is as well. Kickoff now 3-yard line. Rashard Lee. And Rashard Lee takes it back up to the 32-yard line. And tonight we've had Sean Alexander mic'd up.
That was huge. Everybody was inside.
Alexander has had a hot and cold night as Testaverde has it dropped by Quincy Morgan, who was going down. Couldn't hang on. Second down and 10.
Yeah, it's interesting. You always talk about how turnovers kill you. The Cowboys had everything going. Vinny Testaverde throws that interception, and that puts the Cowboys down a little, gives the Seattle Seahawks a new life. They take the ball down and score a touchdown with it, and now we got a ball game again.
They have the momentum in the game in which Dallas really tries to keep its playoff hopes alive. Seattle's trying to stay in first place ahead of the Rams in the NFC West. Ooh, and Vinny will go down. Finally. That was Grant Wistrom. And you watched him for years. Speed. It's all about speed. And he was in there so quickly, Vinny got twisted around and finally finished off.
You know, and it's about that 110 miles an hour, too, that he just keeps going. He didn't get him on the first shot. He starts outside, then he's going to come inside underneath Flozell Adams. Now watch, he kind of misses him here, but he keeps going, and right there, he just grabs him one more time, grabs that right ankle, and takes him down. Jerry Rice is saying that's what we needed. We needed that sack.
Well, Testaverde is the shaken-up Cowboy right here.
You see what Flozell Adams did to left tackle. You can't do. You can't jump out on that thing. You have to keep your inside foot up. Looks like they're taking Vinny out.
Well, he has to come out. I think he wanted to stay in, but because of an injury timeout, which is not a charged timeout, it stops the clock. And if that was the call here, then Henson does have to come in for at least one play. So he does.
Yeah, once the trainers come out on that field, then he has to go out.
Because that stops the clock.
And not only does he have to go out, but I mean, how about Drew Henson having to come in now on 3rd and long?
That's like coming into the 9th inning with the bases loaded, and you're trying to save a game, and the count is 3-0. 3rd and 20 here. So they give it to Jones on a draw, and look at this. Julius Jones puts up a good percentage with that 20, but not enough. 4th down, and they'll punt.
I think that was a good play call, a good run by Julius Jones, and it was a play that Drew Henson had to do, or Bill Parcells had to call. That was the play. And you wouldn't want him back there in a big pass rush running for his life. Do this, get a good punt. Your defense is playing well.
Matt McBriar to punt. Julius Jones now 154 yards on the ground. And the guy who used to play Australian rules football shanks one. and gets a decent roll. It's picked up at the 23, and then the Dallas Cowboys don't recover the ball. The Seattle Seahawks coverage unit came down. I think it was Michael Boulware who touched it. There was a beanbag down earlier. A Cowboy may have touched it first.
The Cowboy touched it first, so therefore it's a free run for the Seattle guy.
Right, the minute the Cowboy touches it, that was pretty close. Dallas up 29-24 when we come back, and the Hawks have the football. Aerial coverage tonight being provided by Budweiser. Good ball game. Dallas, which had scored 26 unanswered points after trailing 14-3. Now in a dogfight, Seattle down by 5. Hawks have the football at the 28-yard line, first down. To the outside, Hasselbeck may have had that one tipped back to the punter. You can see where the Cowboy touches the ball, and that will end the play in effect right here.
Yeah, you'll see 29 here, Keith Davis, and the ball is going to bounce up and hit him right in the chest. Now, once it hits him, it's really a free ball for the Seattle Seahawks. They can pick it up and run with it, and even if they fumble, see, that's a free play there, because even if they fumble, the ball comes back to where it hit the Cowboy on the punt team.
Same thing as a line of scrimmage play where the defense is offside. A free play concept. No loss. Second down and 10 from the 28-yard line. Hasselbeck. Alexander out of bounds. 33. Bill Parcells. Through the years, when he has a lead in the fourth period, almost unbeatable, 79-1, leading by 12 or more points in the fourth quarter, which was the case here tonight at 29-17. That one loss back in '85 when he was the coach of the Giants to the Browns.
Well, you know, the one thing that you look at Bill Parcells' career with the Giants and the Patriots and the Jets here, he's always had pretty good defense.
3rd and 5. And that's Darrell Jackson making the catch. He's had good defense, and he's had that runner that could take him to the final gun too.
Boy, Terrence Newman was really off of Jackson on that play. It was just man-to-man, and that's really too much cushion because you can see where the first down line is. Jackson knows where he has to go to run that slant. Hasselbeck knows it, and he hits him there. I think Terrence Newman is a better corner than that. And if you're a better corner than that, and you're man-to-man on 3rd down, you can't give that much cushion.
Jackson 8 catches for 108 yards. And then they tossed it back to Maurice Morris as they give Alexander a break. Morris, their number 2 pick, 3rd-year guy out of Oregon, who's been running back kickoffs for the Seahawks. And see some action out of the backfield here. Here comes Alexander again.
Yeah, no, I was talking about the running game and the running back, and to me, it's when you do it to win the game. You know, how do you run in the fourth quarter? How do you stop the run in the fourth quarter? This is when you need these players. If they're great players, they play great now and win games.
2nd and 4. Hasselbeck has that one caught by Jerry Rice. Oh, can you believe that?
No, because Bobby Ingram was in the same area. Jerry Rice and Bobby Ingram were in the same area. I wasn't sure who Hasselbeck was even throwing that one to. We talk about great players that make plays. You see Jerry Rice is the outside receiver right there. And you see Ingram is coming across. Ingram thought he was throwing to him. Jerry Rice just cuts right in front of him and catches the ball. He got so excited the old mouthpiece came flying out.
33-yard gain. He's over 100 yards. It's 1st down and 10. And Hasselbeck throws, and that is for Jerry Rice, but he's covered that time by Frazier. And John, when you look at a play like that, I mean, when the 2 receivers are in the same neighborhood, normally somebody has screwed up the pattern.
Well, and someone did screw up that pattern, because there's no way that you would ever draw up a pattern where you would put 2 receivers together.
So what would your guess be?
My guess would be it was Jerry Rice.
Really?
Yeah, I would guess it was Jerry Rice because, he's the new guy. And you see, because he did, because I think Ingram was supposed to run a corner, and I think Jerry Rice was supposed to run either a slant or a cross.
On 2nd and 10. And that is caught by Urban. Jeremy Urban scores the touchdown. And they'll go for 2 to make it a 3-point game.
Mike Holmgren says we're going to work on Lance Frazier. Who thought it would be Jeremy Urban? He is a big, good-looking wide receiver, though. And you see, he's too big for Frazier. He just kind of takes him on physically. And once he gets to that position inside, Matt Hasselbeck knows that he has an easy throw. That's what you like about these big receivers. They can run right through a small defensive back's coverage.
Jeremy Urban out of Trinity in Texas, living a dream. Saying before the game he couldn't believe he's on Monday Night Football, and he's giving them the lead. 2-point play here. Caught. Jackson up by 3. The Seattle Seahawks have come from behind, big time, 32-29. Seahawks started hot. Cowboys then took over in the 2nd and 3rd quarters. But the Seahawks have just regained the lead. It's 32-29 Seattle. With 5:29 to go and the kickoff coming down to Rashard Lee. And Lee brings it back up to the 23. We've been talking about the NFC and how close it is. Right now, division leaders Philly, Atlanta, they'd have the byes. Green Bay and Seattle at the moment on top. 2 wild card leaders are Minnesota and St. Louis, and then that whole hassle of teams at 5 and 7, 5 of them in fact, and Dallas trying to be the 6th. In the meantime, we've got Rice and Ingram, and then Jeremy Urban, who's on the practice squad, made his first career start a month ago, winds up scoring the go-ahead touchdown. Now Testaverde tries to lead him back. Good defense there. Morgan has it extracted by Ken Lucas, but there's a flag down in the secondary.
You're watching that Jerry Rice dancer. That doesn't look like a big old wide generation gap there, does there?
Nope.
A 20-year veteran. I mean, some of these guys were like 2 or 3 years old when he started in the NFL.
Kid like Jeremy Urban, and Rice hates that call. You can tell who that call will be against.
Pass interference. Defense. Number 21. Automatic first down.
That's Ken Lucas.
And Lucas is a good corner, and what he does is he loses position. See, once you lose that position, then you have to try and go through the guy, and if you do it after the ball gets there, it's okay. If you do it a split second before it gets there, it's a penalty.
Here's Jones. Marcus Trufant, the first one. Wisterman at the end.
Again, that's Grant Wistrom coming all the way across the field, and that's the effort. I think when the Seattle Seahawks went after Grant Wistrom, this is the kind of play they want in this kind of situation. A guy that lines up on this side, goes inside, the ball's going across the field. You could pull up anytime, but run all the way across the field and run right through the ball carrier.
And he's been playing hurt. He was hurt at the beginning of the year. Played by a foot injury, knee injury. 2nd down and 10. 6 defensive backs in here. And that's Keyshawn Johnson who can't handle it. 3rd down and 10.
Hey, one thing, you look at momentum. Vinny Testaverde throws that interception to Vieira. They get the ball back, they score, and they just kind of take over the game again. And then you just feel that the Cowboys have lost it, and they're fighting to get back into this game.
That was the fulcrum. Game went from the Cowboys right over to the Seahawks. 3rd down and 10. Jason Witten lines up in the backfield here. They keep him in for pass protection. Testaverde has it intercepted by Ken Hamlin. Two picks last week against Buffalo. They call him the Hammer, and he just may have delivered one.
Ray Rhodes is really mixing up these coverages well. See, this is a zone. You have the corner bumping. Hamlin just sitting back there and reading. See, it's that cover two, the corner bump. Hamlin's just sitting back there and reading. And just like the other interception, he sees Vinny look, he sees Vinny throw, and then he gets the jump on it. Big play.
From the 41. Thinking about the clock and looking ahead, Dallas has 2 timeouts plus the 2-minute warning. Testaverde this season, no picks in the first, then 3 in the second, 5 in the third, and the fourth quarter has really been tough for him.
You know, and usually that was because they were playing uphill, because they were behind, they didn't have the running game and those types of things, but that's not an excuse for tonight.
Right.
And both those interceptions were the same thing. It was a zone coverage, just throwing it high over his receiver's head to a safety.
Last 3 possessions with Dallas: interception, punt, interception.
There's the 8 up.
High pass caught. Jackson tackled by Newman. Stays inbounds, keeps the clock rolling.
Now, I think that's what Seattle has to do, because they need a first down here, and they're going to have to throw to get it, because the Cowboys are just daring them to throw the ball. They have 8 men up. They got everyone, close to the line of scrimmage to stop the run. If they're giving them anything, it's a pass. And I think if the Seahawks are going to get a first down, again, they tried it on second down, they have to come back on third down and throw the ball.
Big conversion attempt here. If they can make it, they're going to force Dallas to use its timeouts on defense. And it's caught by Ingram, and then Ingram is stopped short of the first down. He is stopped there by Nathan Jones.
This is a big decision here for Mike Holmgren too. Do you go for it on fourth down, or do you attempt a field goal? He doesn't look like he has any move to attempt a field goal.
You'd be looking at about a 49-yard field goal. And the downside, of course, is that, and he takes the timeout here as the clock had been stopped on the out-of-bounds play. The downside is, if he misses it, then the Cowboys get the ball in pretty good position at about the 39-yard line. That's the downside. Fourth quarter, with Dallas holding the lead, and then that pick into traffic with those 4 defensive backs there. Alexander is able to pay it off on a tough run. Then it's Urban's touchdown that puts him ahead, and then that most recent of Testaverde's interceptions. So 4th down and 1 now with 2:53. Seattle has 1 timeout. Cowboys have 2 and the 2-minute warning.
I think if they go for it, which they're going to try here, I would guess it would be a pass play. And I don't know that I would feel real comfortable running Sean Alexander, because the Cowboys are going to load up in the run. And if they are going to give you something, they're going to give it to you still in the passing game, not in the running game. Look how close they are to the line of scrimmage.
4th and 1, they're going to give it to Alexander. He's going to get it. And as often is the case on a play like that, when you get one, you get all of the rest.
Well, the Cowboys were in there with their goal line defense. 6 defensive linemen. We were talking earlier about Walter Jones, the great left tackle. Sean Alexander runs right in behind him.
Brown So 15 touchdowns now for Alexander, the first man in NFL history, 15 or more in 4 straight years. And as I said, 4th and 1, and very often once you get past the line of scrimmage, away you go.
You're right, because they're all up there and they're all selling out. And if you get that crack, if there's going to be a crack, and there is that crack right there, you're going to take it to the end zone. Sean Alexander kind of had a slow start, kind of an average middle. But I'll tell you, this ending is very, very good.
And one of the reasons you'll see a guy like Max Strong get so much credit and yet be unknown is the block he threw on Roy Williams that time with Alexander cutting inside of it to score. So Dallas had scored 26 unanswered points, and Seattle has answered with 25 straight points.
You know, as you say, that's what Mark Strong is in there for, and that's the guy you have to block, too, because if someone's going to make a play on short yardage or goal line, it's probably going to be Roy Williams. And Mark Strong took care of Roy Williams.
So 39-29. Cowboys 2 timeouts and the 2 minutes. Seven-yard line, Richard Lee. Mentioned Sean Alexander, showed you earlier. Guys who've scored 15 or more, so that puts him into solo company, just him, and he's got a quarter of the season to go.
But he hung in there in this game. I mean, this game wasn't really good for him early. Like I said, he had to fumble. You know, he dropped the pass. Things weren't going well. There wasn't much running room, but he just stayed with it and stayed with it and stayed with it. And that last run was a big, big run.
Then he has that one caught by Terrence Copper. Marcus Trufant with the coverage. Cowboys go without a huddle.
Well, they have to, because they're thinking 2 scores now. They have to be thinking, you know, get a score, then get an onside kick, then get another score.
2nd down and 1. They get the first down. Keyshawn to the 45-yard line of the Seattle Seahawks.
You know, and I think with the Cowboys needing 2 scores, it can be a 7 and a 3, or it can be a 3 and a 7. I think if you get in that field goal range, you take that field goal and give yourself some time for another score.
They have 120 seconds to move down the field 2 times, down by 10. 2 timeouts left here in Seattle on Monday Night Football. 1st and 10 from the 45. Then he slings it outside to Jones. Julius' first priority is to get out of bounds and stop that clock, and he gets the first down to boot to the 39-yard line.
And again, I don't think that the Cowboys want to take all their time trying to score a touchdown and not leaving any time for the onside kick and the second score if you get it. So I think this is something that you keep trying to get the ball out of bounds, get the ball to the end zone. If you don't, you kick the field goal.
From the 34-yard line. Vinny, he's looking for the 7 here, and it is caught, and inbounds is Keyshawn Johnson. Touchdown, Dallas.
You know, people can tell you all the things that Keyshawn Johnson can't do. That is one of the things that he can do. He can out-jump you on the jump ball, and that's all that was. I mean, Vinny Testaverde had time. He looked downfield. He saw Keyshawn Johnson. He just throws it up in the end zone. This is just a jump ball. Keyshawn Johnson wins.
He wins with Vieira, who had the early interception, trying to swat it away and couldn't.
And Vieira was in pretty good position there. I mean, he got his hands up there too, but Keyshawn Johnson didn't bring it down to his hands.
Vieira with the point after. They don't have to onside kick if they so choose, because you have enough. The math will tell you you've got 2 timeouts, so you could get the ball back. Here's the play again.
Yeah, here's Keyshawn Johnson. He's in the slot here, and you'll see, the zone defense, they're in quarters, and Keyshawn Johnson just runs right by Vieira. Vinny Testaverde buys a little time, sees Keyshawn Johnson near the end zone, and just throws a jump ball up to him.
I'm looking at this thing. Last 2 minutes, it's up to the guys upstairs. You can't challenge if you're a coach. He had 1 foot in. The hand looked like it came down out of bounds. They could have also ruled it because of the contact. You had the force out component here as well. But I'm very surprised they didn't stop play to look at that. Very.
That's something that you can't say that the coach had to do.
Now replay's telling us a leg and an ankle. All right, let's see. Here's your leg. Here's your possession. There's the elbow already in the end zone. So they can make it up after the fact, but I'm shocked they didn't stop it. And frankly, if they'd have looked at it another time, when the elbow hits before the ankle hits, he wasn't in bounds.
Not only are you shocked, but you're right.
Yeah. Well, the elbow hit out of bounds before the ankle came down inbounds.
And an elbow has always equaled 2 feet.
That's right. And a knee. They get onside kick it and come up with it. They came up with the onside kick. Jason Witten.
Holy moly.
Wow.
And you talk about a quiet crowd. I mean, this crowd was going crazy when the Seahawks were winning, and then Keyshawn Johnson makes that touchdown, and then this play, this crowd is in shock.
Wow. Witten, what a beautiful.
It's a heck of an onside kick. I mean, you want to get that thing up high. No one hit Jason Witten. He just runs right through him.
Now Testaverde is going to sling it to the outside through the hands of Jones.
I think Dallas still has 2 timeouts and 1:40. So time is not of the essence here. I mean, they can just kind of methodically move the ball down the field.
I'm just thinking as we're going through this, John, the rule says you have to let a guy in position to catch an onside kick, catch it, but he can make a fair catch. 2nd down and 10. And this is Jones to the 48-yard line. The bottom line here is that on that onside kick, if the Seattle player would have called for a fair catch, they would have had to have let him make it. But does he? No. He just tries to make the catch. So that's Witten, who is perfectly legal. Now Morgan makes this catch and is taken down after picking up the 1st down. Meanwhile, here's a freeze frame. Well, you see his ankle is up. It's not down. And his forearm is in the end zone. He was out of bounds.
But that one is gone.
Gone and not forgotten, but gone. 1st and 10 at the 36-yard line. Now Jones to the 33. And all they need is 3 to send it to OT. Dallas they have 2 timeouts.
I think what your goal here is you want to get in field goal position where you feel that we can make the field goal from here. Then you want to take shots at the end zone. You always want to give yourself a 2-way go, either the 7 or the 3.
This is another break for Dallas because they don't have to expend a timeout.
And final team timeout.
Marcus Tubbs,
due to injury, under 2 minutes.
Gets injured, so that costs Seattle its final timeout. They have none. Sean Payton going over things with Testaverde here with 58 ticks.
And now he's going over things with Bill Parcells, and I think that here I don't necessarily think you have to go for the end zone. I think you go and try and get another 1st down. Then if you get another 1st down, that puts you in good field goal position, and then from that point you go to the end zone.
Right, try to get maybe 12 to 15 yards, but Cundiff in a relatively comfortable position to send the game into overtime. I
see Marcus Tubbs there, number 90. gets his leg bent all the way back. Look at that. I mean, he's put in a position where a big guy, where anyone doesn't bend that way. Marcus Tubbs was just coming on for the Seahawks. He had started the last couple games, and I know they're talking to Ray Rhodes about him the other day, and he said that they thought he'd be a run stopper, and he's even given him a little pass rush now.
Cowboys home next week against New Orleans, then at Philly. Then Washington at home, then at the Giants. Meanwhile, as Tubbs gets assisted off the field, they go to Minnesota indoors next week, then across country to the Jets, and end at home against Arizona and Atlanta here.
If you play up here in Seattle in the National Football League, you're always going to have more travel miles than any team in the league, aren't you?
Sure, not even close.
Well, San Diego,
they'd be fairly close. But I mean, there's no real close game for this team. Second down and 8. Testaverde stepping up, throw. Oh, baby, was he lucky? Ken Lucas.
Yeah, that's the thing that Benny Testaverde has to know is that you can't have a turnover here, and you can't take a sack, and you can't take a penalty. And it's kind of tough to throw it inside. I would, from now on, from this point on the rest of the game, I would eliminate inside throws, because that's where they're having the trouble, and they're having the trouble with that corner coming underneath, and they're having the trouble with that safety deep. I wouldn't throw a ball in the middle of the field now.
Third and 8. Key play. Jones, first down to the 18, so they're in field goal range for sure now, tackled by Lucas. They still have their 2 timeouts, and Vinny's going to spend one right here.
I'll tell you, Julius Jones, for a rookie, for any running back, has really impressed me tonight. That when he's had to use speed and quickness, he's used it. When he had to run a delay and have a little patience here like this, he's had it. He always stays low. He's moving all the time, making big plays. This guy, thus far in his career, looks like something pretty special. Already has 29 carries for 181 yards and 2 touchdowns. Bill Parcells was saying, I can't have him run 30 times every game, but I think if you don't put in one of those other backs, you're probably going to have him run 30 times every game.
Well, just 29 right now.
I would bet I don't know if I would bet that or not. I think from this point on, the Cowboys are either going to throw it or kick it.
From the 17 on first down. Off the play, they swatted down. Grant Wistrom got a hand on it. Second down and 10. Talking to Julius Jones last night. He'd actually flunked out of Notre Dame a year and a half ago, but then he got his grades up. And he said, we talked to him about Ty Willingham getting fired, and he said, boy, I owe that man a lot.
Because he saved him a spot. He told him that, get your grades straightened out and you come back and there'll be a scholarship and a spot for you on this team.
Second down and 10. Then they give it to Jones. Through the middle, Julius Jones. Touchdown, Dallas.
Big run. They caught Grant Wistrom. He was trying to slant down to the inside. Julius Jones saw that he didn't have that hole, so he took the next hole to the outside. Boy, was that a great read.
His 30th carry of the game gives him 198 yards. He's exhausted, but the Cowboys are ecstatic. 2 touchdowns in 2:14. Pundit for a big extra point, because that means Seattle has to score a touchdown, not a field goal, and they'll have to do it in 32 seconds without a timeout.
Vinny Testaverde raised his hands touchdown the minute he handed this thing off. You watch it right here. He raises his hands, and Julius Jones was still 10 yards from the end zone. But see, Grant Wistrom takes the inside. Now, when Julius Jones reads it, he's going to the inside. He knows he can take it up there and then bounce it to the outside. Look at his eyes. He's looking up and down, looking and seeing what's going to happen. Imagine what he's going to get, and then he gets it.
And the Jones family exultant. What a game. Back and forth. Ebb and flow.
Well, you know, we were talking about the horse trailer, and we were talking about a Seattle Seahawk, and you wanted to muse, and I'm glad you saved some time for musing.
Well, you know what? I'm thinking if this at a racetrack, they would say on horse number whatever, jockey switch. Jerry Rice has been taken off the horse, and the mount now goes to Julius Jones.
Yeah, and I would agree with you, and that's good musing. I mean, you can't let out all your hose till you know where the fire is. I mean, you can't commit and say that this is it until it's all over.
Right.
What does Yogi Berra say? It's never over till it's over.
Well, you have 32 seconds here.
Yeah, so we better just keep on musing. We haven't made a decision yet.
A half minute of musing coming up. Maurice Morris from the 2-yard line to the 25. 28 seconds now. Back. Starts deep over the middle. Jerry Rice makes the catch. Loses the football at the 46-yard line, but no, they're going to stay down. The play is over, but they can't stop the clock. They've got to get up there and spike it. Spike it, and then maybe one more play. Down to single digits. He's got to spike it, and he does it here. So barring a penalty on the defense, I don't know how they can get it into the end zone without getting it in on this play.
Here's Jerry Rice's catch. He catches it on that back shoulder, and he's trying to get it up to the front when he gets unloaded on by Dat Nguyen. Jerry Rice is limping off the field. That hurt.
So he can't be in on the final, what figures to be the final play of the game. 47 yards, 7 seconds. Out of the gun is Hasselbeck.
Deshaun Johnson's back at safety.
Hasselbeck will unload for a Hail Mary, for a jump ball. Swatted down initially by the Cowboy defender, and the game is over. I think it was Lynn Scott who got his hand on it, the first guy to touch it. Nobody could get to Karam, and what a game. Two coaches who know what it's like to lift the Lombardi Trophy. Hasselbeck goes back a long way, as does the family, with Parcells and his dad, Don Hasselbeck. And here is Julius Jones, the sudden star. You've got Kevin Jones in Detroit. He's a pretty good running back. Had a great day yesterday. And then Julius Jones of the Dallas Cowboys, the new star in the Lone Star State. Nathan Jones, Lynn Scott are all there. Hit Ingram.
Oh, right there. Ingram could have had it after all that. Watch it when it comes down and hits Bobby Ingram right there. Right in front of him.
Jeremy Urban was there, number 89 as well. And for the Seahawks, that sums up the night. They were down early. Big comeback, had a big lead. And then in the end, it's the Dallas Cowboys.